So now you're going to be writing your level 3 questions. So after you have written your level 2 questions, you've answered your level 2 questions, you've put it on your Google site, and you've turned it in, now we're moving on to level 3. Now we're going to go through the same type of thing. We're going to talk about where we were, where we are, where we're going, and then we're going to move to what those level 3 questions look like. So we have been in the search. You guys were searching for your level 2 questions. You guys were browsing sources. You were answering questions. You were citing sources. So now we are going back to our plan category. We are deciding a question that will guide our learning. And as always, we are reflecting, we're getting input, revising and editing, and always improving our process. Now, where are we headed next? We will be working towards our search and use. We'll actually be working towards our final project after level 3, our level 3 question. So that's what that use category is. Of course, you're going to be working on answering the level 3 question. So that's where the search part comes in, the using, the refocusing, and so we're going to actually be working on our final project. And then again, as always, we are reflecting, we're revising and editing, we're improving our process and getting input where needed. Okay, so a reminder about basic questions is they were literally in the text. They were straightforward answers. We call those level 1 questions. Level 2 questions were between the lines. That's where you get your information and you have to put it together to get an answer. But again, your opinion has not come in yet. Level 3 questions is beyond the lines. That is where we are actually going to, we're going to have our information, but we're going to move it towards your opinion with an answer. So level 3 questions are questions that are much more open-ended and go beyond the text. They are intended to provoke a discussion of an abstract idea or issue. I want you guys to think of this as when you answer, it's going to be an educated answer, kind of like an educated hypothesis, where you take your knowledge now that you've learned, and you're going to answer the question, and you're going to pull in sources that say, this is where my answer comes from, but here's what I believe. I feel like a lot of our issues in today's world are very much issues that you can have an opinion on, and so that we pull in the information we know, we read up, we do resources, we become educated, and then we have educated opinions, and that's where this is. Now, I will say, these are not only some of the hardest to answer, they're some of the hardest to write. Now, throughout this whole process, I felt the questions have been very straightforward, but this is where they get a little tougher, and we're going to talk through that. What's great is I do have a set of questions that you guys can utilize, a set of STEM type of questions, but this is where you will want to make sure that this is where your opinion can come in. This is where you will add in your opinion with your education. Okay, so keep in mind, some of these are going to sound like they're meant to be from answering questions about a story, but I'm going to show you how to adjust those. So level 3 examples. Why do you think the author chose to? Now, instead of author, anything that was any of your topics you can utilize for this. Again, World War II is my topic. So why do you think, and again, this is a why question. I said those need to be here, but this is where it's like, why do you think? Where do your thoughts on why do you think that Adolf Hitler did what he did? Why do you think Adolf Hitler went to the extremes that he did? If I was doing World War II, why do you think World War II was such a turning point for our world? Okay, you'll notice that we haven't had a World War III. Why is that? Okay, why, like that's kind of where my question is going to go, is we changed the world in that. Why? Next one, what did the author do to show you what kind of person blank was? What did Adolf Hitler do to show you that he was a terrible person? Like if in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I think Adolf Hitler was one of the most evil men to ever live. What did he do to make me think that he was the most evil man? Like, what was it about him that after everyone that's coming through, why did he make that list? Okay. If blank would have done this instead, what would have been the effect if Japan had never bombed United States? What would have been the effect of the United States in World War II? And again, you don't have to utilize one of these, so I could even say something like, what would United States have ever joined World War II if not for the bombing of Pearl Harbor? And that sounds like a yes or no question, but the idea is that I go into detail about why or why not I believe that they would or would not. What are some other ways blank could have handled blank? This is a personal. What are some other ways the United States could have handled World War II? What are some other ways that the United States or Germany could have handled Adolf Hitler? If you know his story, you know that he kind of came to power very quickly in some very questionable circumstances. Something to research if you're interested. And what other ways could they have handled him? Maybe a little differently. If this event did not happen, how would it have affected history? If World War, let me think through this one. How do I want to say this? If the Nazis won World War II, what would our world look like today? Maybe that's how it is. Maybe that's something that I could research and say, this is what I think would have happened. This is what I think. I think at some point we would have beat them, or this is what we would be doing. There's even some TV shows. This is a very interesting question to answer. Now, I'm going to try to give you guys some extra examples of those of you who are doing other types of topics. Maybe some animals out there. I've got I've got animals out there. I maybe have some diseases out there. I have some like historical ones I feel like are really easy to do, but maybe if I have some sports, or if I have some sports people, or just people in general. Let me give you guys some examples of how this could have worked. So let's start with animals. Animals could very easily have been, if this animal, how has being in a zoo affected this animal? Or how does this animal help the environment or hurt the environment? And then you could go into that, because some animals are actually not good for the environment and some of them are. Some of them, and you could kind of even go into the topic of, if you're doing an animal, you don't have to focus on the animal for this level 3 question. You can say, do I believe that this animal should zoos be allowed to have this animal? And that kind of goes into why I believe in zoos or why I don't believe in zoos. Because, zoos are definitely a caged animal situation. So that might be a direction to go. Let's say that you're doing a disease. You could go into the stem cell research if you want to. Do you believe in stem cell research, and do you believe that we should be utilizing stem cell research? If you're going into a type of cancer, do you believe that this cancer will ever be cured? And you can go into the different reasonings behind that. If you're doing a place, you could go into like the worldview for them. How has this country helped the world? How has it hurt the world? Is this country making a difference in our world? Like, you could go into it like those in that way, and you could throw your opinion in with facts that they're doing. So that's definitely a place you would go. If you're doing a sport, you could talk about how you could go into the safety of it. Do you think that this sport should continue going the way it's going? I'm thinking football, soccer, the ones that are causing the concussions. You could go into it that way, where are these sports something that should continue in the way, and can sports safety be changed, and should rules be changed, and you can even go into the college aspects of it if you wanted to. If you're doing a person, a lot of these could be really easy for a person, and whatever that they're focused on, did this person make a difference in history? Like, you could go through and talk about it that way. But keep in mind, this type of question is wanting you to, I want your opinion. We want you've done your research, you've looked at it. I want to know your opinion at this point. Now, your sources that you're going to have when you answer this question, they're going to be facts that you've pulled in, saying, this is why I believe this is a fact, and here's why I believe that it's done better. So you are going to still pull in sources even if you have your opinion, because remember, this is an educated opinion. So you are going to pull those facts in. So right now, what I want you to do is I want you to think through this. And remember, this is one of the hardest questions. Keep in mind, we need a capital letter. Keep in mind, we need a question mark at the end. and make sure your topic is in your question. Now remember, these are just possible stems and examples. You can go beyond this, and I want you to think through what needs my opinion in this topic. What have I been interested in? What has come up in my mind throughout all of this? Maybe you already have your opinion. You just need to write the question so you can answer it. Okay, so take a minute. I want you to take a few minutes and write your level 1 question. Pause it right here, and then we'll talk about what to do next. Now, although it says meet with a partner, and if you're in class, you will definitely be meeting with a partner, I would like you, even if you're at home doing this, I would really like you to go over your level 3 question with another adult. Tell them what's expected. It has to be something where I give my opinion. Is this a good question for them? Okay. I want them to give their honest opinion. Have them help you. Okay. If you are struggling, this is a great time to contact your teacher or contact your librarian and say, listen, I'm really struggling with this. How can I help? Because we are here to help you with that. Have an idea of what direction you want to go with your topics. I really want to do this type of question, but I'm struggling with answering it. Or does this sound like a level 3 question? That's a great way to do it. Okay. So if you're interested in that, definitely contact those people. Otherwise, at this point, you're going to be checking your question. Once you're done checking your question, it is time to answer your question.